Hello. Lucas, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, Node.js developers. If you just landed on this video, this is literally the second part of the previous video because our streaming setup turned off. So if you landed here, make sure to check out the previous video. We're going to leave it in the description below. But long story short, what we are doing here is we are building the comment system of the Reddit clone. So we already have a UI implemented, and now what we're going to do is implement the backend. We are literally in the middle of implementing the backend. So we're going to start where we left in the previous live stream and continue with inserting the comments. Lucas, all good here?
Yep. So far, so
Okay,
good.
perfect. I also see everything good. I see that people are rejoining. Sorry for that. Technical issues. Our streaming software is giving us headaches. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge actually to stream from two different PCs. But yeah, we are back and we can continue. So what we just did is we created in our comment service, we created the insert comment function that is going to receive a new comment and we'll insert it in the comments table. Now back in our post details page, what we did is we created a mutation that is going to insert a comment. We actually never call this mutation, but what's happening here is when we execute the mutation that we're going to be able to do by getting the mutate and then calling create comment, and when we call this create comment function, we are going to execute the mutation function, which is going to insert the new comment with post ID, with parent ID, and with the Supabase. Let's go ahead and call this create comment function in the button that says reply, and it's this pressable. So let's do here on press. Please go ahead and call create comment. If now I'm going to go on a post, for example, on this one, and I'm going to say hello and do reply, I don't know what's happening, but I can reload the application, go to the same post, and if it worked, yes, we see the hello there. Perfect. Let's do a second comment here and do a reply. And if we come back, it should be here. Perfect. But why don't we see it automatically? Well, we don't see that automatically because first of all, after the create comment has finished, we are not invalidating queries. Basically, what we see here on the screen is coming from the comments query. What we do here in the create comment is coming from here. So what we should do is say, hey, after you successfully run the insert comment mutation, basically on success, there is going to be data with a new comment, but we're not going to need it because we're simply going to invalidate the query by using query client dot invalidate queries, and for the query key here we're going to give first of all the key that is being used here, query with these comments. It should be an array. Comments post ID based on the ID because that's the post ID here. Perfect. Now if I'm going to go ahead and do third and reply, it's automatically going to appear here. Probably on success or even before, we should go ahead and say set comment with empty string to clear up the input. So fourth reply removed from here appear at the top as the fourth comment. The only thing that I don't think is going to work properly with invalidating the query if we are answering to hello. If I answer to hello by pressing on this answer and then say hello world reply, I don't think it's going to invalidate, but if I reload, if I go back and come here, we see that hello now has show replies. It's not invalidated because the reply of a comment is being fetched in the component comment list item, and this is how we are fetching the replies with a different query key. Yes, it starts with comments, but it has a parent ID. So I'm going to copy this one from here, and I'm going to say, hey, when you insert a comment, please invalidate this query and also invalidate this query. And the parent ID is going to be reply to ID. A reply to ID. And I think we can also set reply to ID to null, because we replied, that's it. Now if I'm going to reload and go here and say I want to reply to second, I'm going to do here reply to second comment. Thank you. If I do reply, we're going to see automatically that it appears show replies. If I do that, we see reply to second comment. If now I'm going to press on this one and say third, third already exists. Reply to reply and do that, we see another button here. And I can do that. Lucas probably stopped it at 5 layers, right? So yeah, as you can see, everything now correctly invalidates, and we have like this real-time application. It's not like real-time, it has a feeling of everything in real time because we are properly invalidating the right cache. And we can scroll through all of the comments. If I'm gonna go to another post, it's not gonna have any comments because we are properly querying them. And when we open it, we only see top level comments, and we can expand them like this. And I can do reply here and say second level, I think. And it appears here because it's already opened. That's also interesting, like how it's going to look, but I think it works perfectly. Like in the here, not in here, we have this one, which has 2 replies, but one of them has more. So yeah, perfect. I think that's amazing. Oh boy, oh boy. Material theme banned, right? Yes, you see what I'm struggling with. I'm happy that from cursor it's still there. But what I'm going to go and do, I'm going to say git status, git add, git commit -m, create comments and replies. So we are good here. We are creating comments. We are storing them in the database. We are fetching, we are invalidating them properly. So on this side, we are super good. What I want to do now is similar to what we did for our tables. We see that our tables are okay, but the comments has this RLS disabled. RLS, we learned in the previous video, these are the rules, how we authorize people or users to do some stuff. So without RLS, that means that anyone can write comments, anyone can delete comments, update, and so on. Let's go ahead and enable RLS. Press enable. And then we're going to go in adding a policy, because without any policies, when RLS is enabled, you're not going to be allowed to do anything. So let's start by creating a policy to allow select for authenticated users. So if you're authenticated, you should be able to read comments, and using true here because we don't have any logic. Select to authenticated. Let's do save policy. I'm going to create another one for insert, and this one is also insert to authenticated. If you're authenticated, you should be able to insert. There is no other rule here. True. However, delete and update should be based on the user ID, similar to how we did it for the other table. If I'm going to go back in table editor under posts and look at the auth policies here, we have delete that if I put edit, we see that it targets the role authenticated, but it has some logic here saying that the ID that the user used in his header as a token that he couldn't generate himself should match the user ID of the item that you're trying to delete. So I'm going to copy this one from here, and we can go back to the tables, comments, policies, and we can create a new policy for update and say update only for owners. And I'm going to say target authenticated users, but use this logic in both using and with check. Do both requesting user ID should be equal to the user ID that you're trying to edit. This gives you access to only your data to be able to update. Anyone else will not be able to update your data. I'll do that, and you can do the same for delete. In delete for owners. It should be authenticated, and also the logic should be you only should be able to delete your comments. And with these policies, your table is very secure, and select and insert. Anyone who has an account can do that, but delete and update only the owner of that item in the table could do that. Perfect. I will double check if everything is still working. I will reload because we don't do anything on the table, on the data here. I'll see that we can load replies in comments, and we can we still comment? If I do post, yes, it's added here, and we can still comment. Perfect. And yeah, we didn't do any changes here. It was just RLS. Okay. So I think with the comments, we are kind of good here. I'm not going to implement delete. You can see how we implemented delete on the posts. It's just running a simple mutation and then invalidating the same queries to update them. It would be super simple. Actually, it would be so simple that I'm thinking to implement it. Should I?
Go for it.
Let's go for it, because it's also quite an interesting topic. Yeah, I'm going to explain a topic by implementing the delete comments. So in the comment services, let's go ahead and say, hey, export const delete comment async. In this case, we just need the ID of a comment of type string and the Supabase, which I'm going to take it from here. Now the implementation is going to be quite simple, quite similar to this one. I'm going to copy because I'm lazy now, and I'm going to say wait Supabase from comments delete, and then you need to specify a condition what items to delete. Delete can delete the whole table, all items, if you don't specify a condition. So I'm going to say delete only the item that has the ID equal to the ID that we send you here. Then I don't need to select anything. I don't even think we need return data. I will just return true here probably, or maybe data, I don't know. Now delete comment. Let's go into the comment list item. And one of these items, one of these icons should be delete. Lucas, which one can I make it delete? Or should I do a new icon?
I do not see your screen so far.
Okay. Let's do, because we do not have a more menu, I'm going to do, instead of these dots free horizontal, I'm going to rename it to trash. Is there a trash? Yes, there is a trash. Trash outline. No. Okay, you can find a better, definitely can find a better icon, but I'm going to leave it like this. So when we press on this trash icon, we need to try to delete that post. And let's go ahead and do const. We need to define the mutation, right? Use mutation. Mutation function is going to be delete, like this, delete comment, and we need to provide the ID. The ID is going to be comment.id, and we need to provide Supabase. We already have Supabase there, that's good. Now on success, we need to also invalidate the same queries that we invalidate when we created a comment. So I'm going to go into the ID here, and on success we have these two invalidations. I think they are good because they are invalidating both the first level queries and the second level queries at the same time. We need the query client, so let's get query client from use query client. And the post ID would be comment.postID, and the reply to would be the parent, comment.parentID. And this one can be undefined, but it's fine. Like, it's not going to be wrong if we call this on a root level comment, because it's just simply not going to invalidate anything, but it's not going to throw an error. So now we just need to take the mutation and call it remove comment. Remove comment. Let's go ahead and call it when we press on this icon. So the trash is going to be on press remove comment. Now I'm going to first try to delete a comment that does not belong to me. And even though we see the icon here, if I'm going to try to delete it, it's not going to allow me because it's protected on the server. This is the benefit of using RLS, because even if you miss something on the UI, people will not be able to perform detection because you protect it on the backend. Simply not allowed. However, if I'm going to go here with all the comments that I created, and I'm going to delete like a top layer comment without any replies, for example, the fourth one, if I'm going to delete it, we see that it disappears automatically, and we can delete this one as well. Now let's see what's going to happen if, for example, we delete a reply. For example, this hello world reply from hello. If I delete it, everything is good so far. Text strings must be rendered within a text component. Why that might be the case? Also some length. Oh, here. I did the same mistake, you see? I did the same mistake that I was explaining, like that it's a trap that we all fell into, but it's good to know like how to solve it. It's just negating it and making it like a trophy value. All right, so now we deleted top level comment, we deleted reply, but what's going to happen if we delete a reply that has replies? First of all, if I'm going to load it, we are going to see that we have, reply. If I delete this one here, boom, all of below comments are deleted as well. And not only from the user interface, but most probably from the table as well. If we look at the comments, we do not see those comments that have a lot of word reply anymore here. That's because by deleting a parent comment, it deleted the items referencing it as well. This is something that on an SQL database you can configure. And this is called, if we look into the edit table of the comments, in a foreign key, like in the relationship of a comment to a comment, if we edit this relationship, you're gonna see here actions. What should happen with the items that are referencing this comment when, for example, the comment ID is updated. In our case, we're never going to update the case, so that's why no action. But what we said here, like what should happen with the replies if a comment is deleted, we literally say cascade, meaning delete them as well. So apply the same operation as a cascade, deleting them all below. So this is very good in a lot of cases. For example, deleting a user, if the user wants to be deleted, is going to automatically delete his post. Deleting a post will delete the post comments. Deleting post comments will delete post comments, likes, and so on. So it's going to clean the database. But I know that in Reddit, this is not what's happening, because by deleting a comment, you don't want to lose the other replies that commented there. So they are, instead of that, they're deleting probably not the row itself in the database, we're deleting the content and the reference to the user. So it just shows a deleted comment, but it remains there in the database. So most probably it's a flag called isDeleted that is turned to true, and then it removes the reply, the information about the user and the comment, but it keeps that item there so it can load the replies at least. I'm not going to implement that complicated. I just want to show you that this is configurable, and to understand that with cascade, and what this cascade means is that when deleting an item, all the references, everything that is referencing this item is deleted. And this can be changed to either restrict, which will throw an error, so you're not going to be able to delete a comment if there are replies. You don't want that in this situation. Or set default or set to null. This is also possible. I'm going to leave it like this. So when we delete a reply, it's going to delete, when we delete a comment, it's going to delete all its replies. So this is another thing that we learned. Git status, git add, git commit, delete comments. Perfect. And for a better probably user experience, you can go ahead and, even though nothing happens if a user clicks on delete icon for comments that are not his, you can go ahead and probably hide it, because in an application like Reddit, most, like 99.9% of the comments are not going to be your comments. So it's bad to see this trash icon on every comment without being able to actually delete it. So we are secure, it's nothing going to happen, but from a UI perspective, it's better to actually hide the icon itself. You can do that by taking the, okay, I'm going to show you. Okay, you, how's it called, Lucas?
Persuaded me?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't take a lot, but I'm going to go, for example, in the comment list item. We need to know who is the user who is logged in. We can take that using use session from clerk. We can take the session, and that session has the user ID. The comment that we are rendering also has a user ID. So we just compare if they are the same. We're going to go into the trash icon and say, hey, this is going to be rendered conditionally if session dot user dot ID is equal to comment dot user ID. So if it's the same owner, if it's the author, in that case, we're going to render the trash icon. So here, we do not even see the trash icon, better for the UI, but in the first post where we created them, we see them here, and we can delete them. Perfect. Super simple one. Git add, git commit, hide, remove icon, for our comments. Okay, so on the comments, Lucas, are we good here, or we plan to show anything else?
Yes, I think that's good.
Maybe
That's good.
maybe we could show the number of comments here.
Like you could show it in the post, yeah, in the post feed. I'm not sure where
So in
you're
the
showing.
post feed, yeah, not very
Yeah.
complicated because we already show like number of likes. And the number of likes was actually more complicated.
Yeah.
The query that we are sending there is going to be in the tabs index. This is the home screen. And we're sending fetch posts here. I'm going to open fetch posts. Let me also look at what it expects. How is the name? So post list item, it expects where is it? Post title. Oh, below. Number of comments. So I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to go in the function that fetches posts. It's from the services post service, fetch post. I'm going to say that besides everything here that you're selecting, please also select, create a new field called number of comments, and the value, take it from the relationship with comments, and we do count. Wait a second. I forgot already. Let me check Supabase. Fetch count of relations. Fetch data. Selecting, querying, filtering with count. No, this one. Instruments and in the count inside. So inside the comments, if we do this, is going to select the actual rows in an array. If we say count, it's supposed to take the count. So if I reload, objects are not valid. So this number of comments is an object. Yeah, it should be an object. And I'm going to look at what the post data is, because console log posts, we're going to access it a little bit differently. Posts, null and 2. And if I look into the logs, it should be here. It should be number of comments is an array, and that array has an object, and that object has a field count. So we need to access number of comments at position 0.count. That's purely like in our post list item. When we access number of comments, we access number of comments at position 0.count. A bit weird, but now it works. So we see that the first one has 2 comments. This one has 1 comment. Not sure where is it coming from. Cannot convert undefined to object. That's because in the details, I can do this one conditionally as well to be more safe, but to also query it here in the post service, the same way as we are querying it here in the fetch posts, we need to do it in the fetch post by ID. So in the fetch post by ID, we're gonna do another column, and now it should work. So 2, perfect. This is 1. I don't know why it's 1. Maybe it was like an error or something like that, or a reply that kind of got lost. Where is that one with React Native? This one has 5. And if I look at it, yeah, it has 2 here and replies as well. Perfect. And that's why it was good to keep the post ID there, because a reply is also a comment and it should be counted towards the comments. Perfect. Amazing. So this one was, where did I do the console log?
Vadim, for
Yes.
some motivation, but a lot of very nice comments are pouring in. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. So let me commit. This is number of comments on post item. Perfect. Nice. Okay. So are we good with the comments? I think we are.
and in a second you'll think of another thing to do.
No, like, I mean, the only thing that is bothering me is that we're not displaying the offer of the comment, but we don't
Yeah,
have that
true.
yet possible because, as I was saying, we don't yet have users in our table. Even though we have them here, these are fake users. I should actually delete them because now our users are handled on the cleric. So we have time, we can fix that to also have them here, but that's a little bit out of the scope here. So that's why I'm thinking that there are some other stuff that I really want to show you, which is storage. So let's go ahead and implement the storage that will allow us, when creating a post, to add an image. For that, we first have to go into our application, protected, tabs, create. That's where we are creating a post. And we need to be able to select an image on this page. I know that we didn't implement that in our application here, but Lucas has spent a lot of time, and in the guide everything is there. So we're gonna follow the guide. First I need access to it, so let me quickly find it somewhere. I don't know exactly what's going to be the easiest way to find it. Maybe here. Yeah.
It's so difficult when I don't know what you're doing, but I need to think of like from what you're talking.
Guess what I'm doing. Okay, 1 second, guys. So I'm going to share the screen. Perfect. So in the guide, most probably, Lucas, if you remember, it's in the create post screen. Or no, it's in the image picker, most probably. But maybe in the create post screen, Lucas has added the icons for selecting them. So I'm going to look here. And indeed,
It should be there, yes.
it has like a final code for the image picker. Indeed. So let's go ahead, and this one we actually didn't implement it. We didn't follow. So we're gonna follow now the image picker for create a post lesson. For that, the goal of this lesson is going to be able to select an image from your phone's gallery and add it to the newly created post. We're going to use Expo Image Picker. You can check out the documentation on Expo Docs. And first, we're going to install Expo Image Picker. Let's install it in our project by running npx expo install Expo Image Picker. Let's follow the documentation here on the Expo Docs to see what else do we need to do. For example, in app.json, we're gonna have to add this plugin that is going to specify the photos permission. For development, we don't need that, but it's good practice to put it now because without this, your application, when you deploy it to market, is going to be rejected. You need to be very specific with why you need photos permission. So let's copy this array that has two values, Expo image picker and its configuration. And let's go into our app.json. Under plugins, after Expo Secure Store or after the last plugin here, let's add this array. So to specify a plugin, we can do it either by a string or as a tuple, where we have two values in an array: the name of the plugin and the configuration of a plugin. Okay, and these are the other things that we can specify: photos, camera permission, microphone permission. I'm going to go here, and there is a function pick image that is going to launch the image picker, and the result is going to store in a state. So what do we need to import is use image picker, and we're going to need that in the create post. Source, up, protected, tabs, create. At the top, somewhere here, we need to import everything from image picker. We're gonna need use state from React, but we already have it. Next, let's define the state image inside our component. And I'm not gonna do it here. I'm going to do it in the create screen. So we have title, body text, group, and between them, I'm going to do this one because this one is an atom. So images here, and a function that is going to launch the image picker and set the image with a result. Let's define this function. I like it after mutations, even after go back probably here. Now we need to call the pick image when we click on one of the buttons here or icons. We can add a button, but I think Lucas has added a row of icons. So let me check the code that Lucas has. And what he has is this footer. So let's copy this footer with icons. And this is going to be at the end just before closing the keyboard avoiding view. So I'm going to copy that. And just before closing keyboard avoiding view, let's put this footer. We need to import the icon from Expo Vector icon. And now when we go to create, we actually see these icons at the bottom. And if we open the keyboard, they are going to move up. Perfect. Now that means that on this image, if we press on it, which is the middle one, we're going to call the function pick image. So let's see how it works. If I press this one, nothing happens. No, indeed, actually it starts. I'm not sure what images are there. And for some reason, they are not loading. I think they are trying to load it from my Apple, how is it called?
iCloud?
iCloud. I connected my iCloud here. It's not very good.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, it cannot download them because, or no, it can. Okay, so look, here it is. My iCloud, like one of the items have loaded, and if I select this one, it doesn't allow me, but yeah, if I do that, your photo library is shown here, but Expo Google can only access items that you select.
If you go to collections, do you see, because it usually they have like some pre-built images already inside the simulator. Maybe you see them. Not great.
For some reason, one of them has loaded, but it's trying to download from iCloud, and that asks me to.
Yeah, to review something.
Let me.
Can you log out from your iCloud on the simulator?
Maybe I should be able. Give me just 1 second.
Yeah, you should in the settings.
Sign out. Sign out. Okay, yeah, so I'm removing the iCloud data. I want to get back to the simulator data.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, 1 second. It kind of still thinks that there are like
Images,
Apple
right?
also probably has a cache that was not cleaned, so it doesn't load the. It starts probably now to slowly delete from here. Yeah, that's going to take a while. You see, it's dropping. So let me see if I can maybe add some items here. For example, this one, and then
Maybe you can run on a different simulator.
yeah, that would also work. But I think it updated. Wait a second. I just need to double check if I can select it. Yeah, I can choose. Yeah, perfect. So look, now after we press the pick image, when we press on this icon, that is going to call the function that we define at the top, which is going to use image picker, launch it, and we'll say that we can select either images or videos. And let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like. It's going to actually open the system image picker. It's going to show the images that we have access to, and we can go ahead and select it, edit it, and then choose it. We don't display it, but we're going to do that in a second. Here, when you open the image picker, we can adjust some stuff. For example, not sure if we can share videos on Reddit. Maybe we can, but I'm going to stick only to images. So I'm going to pick only images. I'm going to allow editing, aspect. I don't know if we actually have to do this only applicable on Android, since on iOS the crop rectangle is always a square. Yeah.
Yeah. You
And
do
quality,
not need aspect and
I'm sorry?
you do not need aspect, and also videos are supported, but we are not showing them today.
And quality, you can decrease the quality of the item. For example, 1 is going to be 100% quality. It's going to keep everything. 0.5 is going to decrease it in half. I'm going to keep it at 1. And what I want to do is, as you can see, the result of the image picker, we are storing it as an image in state. But we see that we are never using this image. Let's go ahead and render this image. Not sure where Lucas did that, but probably it's after the inputs. After the
body. It is after input. The title, in between the title and the body.
Oh, in between the title and the body.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that in between the title and the body, saying that if there is an image, render it on the screen in an image component using source URI image, and then some styles, because without styles we're not going to see it. We say with maybe 100%, an aspect ratio. Let's do 1, just to be a square. And if I go ahead now and do choose a photo, it's going to be here. And the title is at the top and the body is below. Let me check what other styles Lucas did there. For example, if image, he also did the removing of the image. So maybe we can just copy this part, because, and I see that Lucas with width and aspect ratio did the same. So Lucas has also added the icon that will remove it if you want to go back. So let's copy this part and replace it with our part. That is going to have this end design as well. So we see that at the top, we have also a close button, and when we press on it, it's going to simply remove the image from the state. And we can go ahead and select a new one. We can actually go ahead and select a new one, and it will simply override the previous one, but we can also go back to no image at all. So this is how simple it is to pick an image from the system, from the library. I'm going to do git add, git commit -m, image picker. The next step is going to be to upload this image to Supabase. To do that, let's go ahead on Supabase, and we're going to see that on Supabase we have this storage here. We didn't create any buckets. Buckets are here to group together different media files. Let's go ahead and create a new bucket, and let's call it images. We can create it as a public bucket where anyone will be able to download the images and see the images, or we can enable private bucket and they will have the same row level security policies for them. I mean, if they're public, anyone can do them. If they're private, only people based on RLS are going to be allowed to do them, to see them. We can also restrict upload size to prevent large files, and also specify what kind of files you want: images, audio, video, and so on. I'm thinking whether this should be a public bucket or a private bucket. Let's go ahead and do Supabase storage. And creating a bucket. That can be here. Ownership. I think it should be, because public, I think also anyone can delete them. So let's try to do them private and do them correctly. So I'm going to save this, and we have a bucket where we can upload files directly from here, or we can go ahead and upload them through the SDK. To upload them from the SDK, we have here uploads. Here is the standard upload. And this is going to use Supabase storage from bucket, upload the path to the file and the file itself. This is most probably for the web. And on React Native, we have one extra step. We have to take the URI, the local URI, and get the base64 of that image. So I'm going to open the Supabase React Native, a blog post here. And they have a bonus profile photo, also implementing with Expo Image Picker, where they have upload avatar. And the result, what we are doing with it, is we are transforming it to an array bucket using fetch. So, okay, let's implement it together. This is a bit confusing. It's also something that I never remember. You just always check the documentation. So don't worry if you don't understand, but I'm going to try to explain it. Let's create a function here, const upload image. It's going to be also async. And we can actually give here the URI of the image, like local URI of type string. So if we give it for parameters, this function is not going to depend on the component itself, on the state and so on. So what we need to do first is we need to get the array buffer. We can get it by doing a wait using fetch. We're going to fetch the local URI. And after the fetch, it does result.array buffer. So not to confuse it with then, let's do here first file res is fetch and then array buffer. We get it by calling file res dot array buffer. And now this is a buffer. This is the binary of our local image. And with this binary, we can easily upload it to Supabase. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do await Supabase dot from, and here we specify, or no, Supabase dot storage dot from the ID of the bucket. So it's called images, if I'm not mistaken. Images. We can do dot upload the path of the image, for example, one.png, and then the file body, which is going to be array buffer. If I do that, let's try to take error and display the error if it happens. Console.log error. And I'm going to upload it when we press on the post. This is the mutation to create a post, to insert a post. So what I'm going to do, there is a button here that is not going to call mutate. Let's go here on post click. Let's call this function, and this is going to be a function on post click that, as before, is going to call the mutate function. But before that, we're first going to upload the image. So let's do upload image with the image, but only if it exists. So if image exists, if it was picked from the library, let's upload it and do await here. I'm gonna call them mutate actually, not to create unnecessary posts, and only keep uploading the image just for testing purposes. And in this upload, I'm going to console log the error, maybe also the data, because I'm a bit pessimistic here and expecting an error, but maybe it's going to work. So let's see, console log data. If now I'm going to check the logs and do post here, it's going to see that we picked an image, and then it's going to see error, unauthorized, new role violates security. That's what I was expecting, because our bucket is not a private bucket. Our bucket is not a public, it's private. And a private bucket, it's secured with the same policies, very similar to how RLS works. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually RLS. And we're gonna go under the images, under storage, configuration, policies, you're gonna see your bucket here. So let's go ahead and create a new policy for images. Maybe we can look into the get started quickly to see some predefined. Here you can see allow access to JPG in public folder to anonymous user. Using with check. Restrict bucket. Allow extension, give user access to only their top level. This would be when every user has his own folder. Give users access to a folder only to authenticated users. Bucket ID, bucket name, and storage. give access to a nested, give access to a file to a user. I would give access to the whole bucket to all authenticated users. So it probably will be something similar to this, but can we adjust it here? No, we cannot adjust it here. I'm going to copy it from here and go back for full customization. Let's say operation. I want to select, insert, update and delete. And you see what kind of functions are enabled. That's really cool. So select will enable download, list, update, move, and so on. Target roles authenticated. Policy, definition, bucket ID, images, and that's it. What means that we give full access to authenticated users to this bucket. This is not the best one because you want only file owners to be able to delete them. In that case, sometimes we store them in folders using their ID, but I'm not going to cover that now. I'm going to just do a review. Please provide a name for your policy. Full access to authenticated users. A review. Let's do save policy. So it has like 4 policies here. Perfect. If I go ahead and try again to upload it, we see null, which means that we're null for the error, and data, it has full path images /1 png. This is the ID of the file, and this is the path. If I'm going to look in the Supabase, we see that in images we have an image 1.png. We see that file is too large in the preview, but if I download it, it should be exactly that file. I'm going to open it here. That way uploaded there. Perfect. So it's that simple actually to upload a file. Like look at the amount of code that we have here. It's 2 lines of code to transform a local URI to an array buffer, and 2 lines of code to do Supabase storage upload. Now everything that we're gonna add is kind of to make it's adding on top, like this is the fundamentals. But for example, we need to adjust the name here. And the name, if we look into the documentation here, what they did is they first took the file extension from the original file. So they took the file extension from local URI without URI dot split. Maybe I'm going to do here as well, or doesn't matter. Dot split, we're gonna split on dot, and we're gonna take using pop the last part, which is going to be the file extension, either .png, or if it's missing, we're going to default to JPEG. And then the path, I mean the name of a file, is going to be composed using the date now and then the file extension. This, if I take path and use it here in the path and upload it again, it is going to upload an image where the file name is a date. And yeah, it's not a date, it's a timestamp, a Unix timestamp, which, yeah, it's basically a date. So this way we are kind of ensuring that if I upload another time, it's going to be not overridden on top of it, but added as a new one, because time is always moving forward. The only problem is, like with this approach, if your application is very huge, like millions of users, there is going to be a moment when 2 users exactly at the same moment will upload an image, and in that case their file names are going to collide with each other, and one user is going to override the image of the other user. This is very edge case, so for better naming convention you can use UUIDs, which ensures uniqueness, but for now this is perfect because this is the time down to the milliseconds. So I don't think in a normal application like this is gonna happen often. It's going to happen super rarely, just letting you know that this might be an issue in future.
Yep.
Okay. So after we call upload image, we have this data. Let's go ahead, and the data has full path and it has path. Which one do we need? Because when we upload that item, the post in the database, there is a column image which should indicate, which should point towards one items here. For example, this one. Which one we're gonna need, full path or path? That's the question. Let me double check that. Path, it's using path, and the path is just the name of the image. Yeah, okay. And then knowing that path, okay. So this upload image, let's do, if there is an error, let's actually throw that error. Otherwise, let's return the path of that image from Supabase. Return. Not sure if I need else here actually. Return data dot path. So we can use this upload image, which actually doesn't even have to be in this file. It can be in a utility file because it doesn't have to be in this function, in this component, because it doesn't need like state and stuff like that. It can be outside, similar to insert post, which we're gonna make sure to clean it up. Actually, we need Supabase here. So it's either we're going to send the Supabase as we did with services, like this, but it's one more parameter, but it will allow us to get this function outside the component altogether. And when we call upload image, we need to send the image with the local URI and then the Supabase as well. What's going to be our strategy? Probably our strategy is going to be, yeah, let's do it like this. Const let image path equal to null, or let's do it like this. Image path is going to be equal to either, if image is defined, to, can I do a wait here, or undefined, and I don't need this one. Now having the image path, I'm going to send it down to the mutate image path. When I send something down to the mutate image path is going to go into the mutation function here, so we can say image path, or let's here just do image of type string or undefined. Maybe it should be null. I'm going to check that. Now I'm going to take this image, and when we call insert post, I'm going to add it here. So now if I actually click create post, it's going to first upload the image, get the image path, and call mutate to upload the post, but this time with an image. And if everything works correctly, after everything is done, we're gonna do query invalidation and go back. Did I click on it? Maybe I didn't even click on it. So if I click post, anything happening? failed to insert a post. Please select a group. I need to first select the group and do post now. It's going to upload the image again, which is not very optimal, but after uploading the image, here we have it. If we look into the database, we're gonna have in the post, the last post that was created. I'm going to sort it by created at descending. It has an image which has this name. Now the thing is that this post in the feed, it understands that it should have an image, but we didn't implement like how it should render it, because previously the posts that had an image had an HTTPS, like a public available image. This one is just a name of a file in our storage. So what we should do is we should go into the components, post list item, and first download the URL of that image. So let's see how that is going to happen. I'm going to remember how that is working here. Avatar URL. Most probably that is through download. Set avatar URL. Yep. Okie dokie. So what we have to do is, again, we're going to have a function here at the top, async const download image. Let's do it as async, and this is going to be the path, the image path, or the image, which will represent the name of the image in our images bucket. What we should do here is we should do await Supabase, which we're gonna receive here as well. Supabase as Supabase client of type database. So Supabase dot storage dot from avatar images dot download, and the path of the image is going to be image. Do we need to do anything else? No. They also put it into a try catch, because things can happen here. Catch the error. Now what we get back here again is error and data. That's very common already. If there is an error, we're going to throw the error, which in fact is going to simply arrive here. But if data is good, let's see what data is. Console log data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this download image in our post list item function after I get is going to receive a post. So I'm going to put it here in a use effect, saying that whenever the post dot image changes, I want to download the image post dot image. And the second argument should be Supabase. It can be null, so I'm going to do if post dot image. Do that. And let's see what's going to happen. Well, we see that data collector, blob ID, type image, the size, and so on. So this is a blob. What we have to do is we have to read the data, and at the end using the file reader, and at the end we're gonna get the result. So let's copy this part from here. So file reader, then read as data URL, and then on load we are going to receive a result. So if I copy these 3 lines here, we see that on load is can I do here console? Can I do here return? Let me check something. Return. It's not gonna work. I need to define a promise and return the promise. Return what? Fr result. As string. So here when I call the download image, I can do .then console.log without calling it, just giving it to that. If I reload, status 400. No idea what's happening. Well, maybe the problem is with, the old images. So I'm going to go back, and now all the posts that have an actual link, I need to set them back to null, because now we are moving away from links here to pointing to our storage. And now if I will reload, I will have like less errors to know like what's going on. Okay, but what's going on? Undefined here. Yeah, because the return here is in a callback, so I need to remember how to return a promise here. If I'm not mistaken, like I could go back and move this function inside the post list item, but I really want to make it reusable, because you never know like how often do you need it, and I don't want to write like these file readers over again and again. So if I'm not mistaken, we create promise equal new promise an argument for, or return new promise, right? Yeah, return new promise, and then we get here a resolve and reject, and we need to do something with them. I mean, we do our stuff here, which is going to be this part, and can it also be async? Yeah, it can. So we do this. If error, we can say reject the promise with this error. File reader, work with data, blob or null. If error, or there is no data, stop there. Come on. It's not assignable to blob. Anyway, here instead of returning, what we do is we call the resolve function of our promise, saying resolve that promise with this result. And maybe I can even do a string, not sure if that's needed, but let's try it. Here, let's not do console log data. In the error, we can reject the original promise using that error. Finally, if there is no data, return or reject. Or maybe I should return here. Yeah, return reject, return resolve. I don't think I need to return here. Okay, so now when we call download image, it's going to give us back a promise, and after it reads and decodes the the image, it's just going to give us the result. So when we call it here, download image, then console log, let's see what we have. Indeed, we have an base64 array. It looks like a lot of data, a lot of weird characters, but if we go ahead and store these characters in a state, call it const image set image equal use state, and then if we say, hey, after you download the image, go ahead and set it to state. So if I will say set image, you see that I'm not the set image, I'm going to say that it can be string or undefined. So now it should work. Come on. Value unknown, void promise. I don't know. I think it's going to work. TypeScript is just messing up. So if I take this image from state and then in the image here, I'm going to use it not as a URI, I think not as a URI, as a direct image, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm going to simply tell it like, hey, source, no, it actually should be URI. Console log image. Maybe I need, chill. What's going on? Okay, that's crazy. But I think I need to append something there. Set avatar URL for result. If URL download and then avatar URL, and what it does with this avatar URL, it renders like this. So for them it works, but for us it doesn't. If avatar URL, or maybe, why it doesn't work? Oh, I know. I put it in the, and I see it there. Look, I don't even need to console log because I replaced it with a group image, but I should do that in the, where is this, Lucas? Should show image post.image, and the question is not going to be post.image, but actually, or maybe post.image. We're going to share here the image. Just like that, finally, we have the image loaded from Supabase storage. So it took a little bit of time, but this kind of thing that we add here, download image and upload image, we build them once, and then it's super simple to just call this download image when we want to. And we can actually build a custom implementation of an image component that instead of sending a source, we can send there a key and it can handle this downloading itself. Now I can go ahead and create a post without image, I think, and I can post it. I need to select a group without, and I can go ahead and create a post with image. I select a group and I select an image, for example, this code. It's not a code, but it's the lesson from React Native Mastery, and it's going to be here, and we can see it here as well. Okay, that was tough.
Amazing. Good job. I did not want to interrupt you during your flow, but you did got one question personally. I answered it as well, but Luca is asking, do you think that he needs to know native languages like Swift and Kotlin in case to be a senior developer?
I don't think that's a requirement. It's sound like a benefit, but I don't think it's a requirement. And it
Yep.
depends on
Yeah.
the role. Like it depends from the roles, from the companies, like how much native code there is and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's good to, like what I answered is pretty much as well. Like you don't necessarily need to be like very good at them. Having some knowledge how they work might be like recommended.
Yeah. And before I commit everything, I actually want to clean up a little bit by creating maybe a folder utils here. And it's going to be Supabase images.ts. And here in Supabase images, I'm going to move the download image function because that was why we tried to make it reusable to get it out of a component file so that it can be imported and used in any other place. And that besides the download from here, which we should go ahead and do import, let's first export it. Export const. And now we import it here, download image. Besides this one, we are also going to extract from our application protected tabs, create the upload image. So these two, like one downloading and one uploading. Supabase images, let's do here like this. And let's also do export upload. In the create, we just need to make sure to remove this function and to do import upload image, Supabase image. While I'm here, I'm also going to move the insert post because this should belong to services post service. Somewhere here, we need to do insert post. And it also needs the insert post type, which we can define here somewhere at the top. And to make sure to import it from services. Do we have it import? Maybe not. Import, insert post. Probably I forgot to export it. Export from, let me try it again. Insert post from services, post service. Perfect. Now I can clean up a little bit here. And yeah, this file is a little bit easier to read.
Nice.
Perfect. And the same thing can be done for groups as well, where the group image is going to be stored there. What I was saying before is a reusable component. For example, if I look into the components post list item, to render this image that is coming from, where is it? This image that is coming from Supabase, there is also always going to be a couple of steps involved, meaning we have to define a state for the image. Then with a use effect, we have to download that image and then set it in state. It's not a lot, but imagine we have this use state and the use effect and the state in everywhere where we need to display an image from Supabase. It's getting a little bit hard, and it's super easy to implement a custom component that will do this logic for us. For that, we're going to create, I'm going to do that because it's not hard. Let's call it Supabase image.tsx. And let's do export default function Supabase image, and it will return an image, exactly the image how we had it here, for example, like this. Now it needs in the properties, I'm going to define the type of Supabase image props. I'm going to say that it will have a property called path or something like that. And this is going to be a string. This represents the path in Supabase storage. Maybe we can also add a bucket here. So it will have both bucket and path. So we can load them from different buckets as well. Let's go ahead and take path and bucket from the props and specify that they should be image props like this. Now we're going to bring the use effect and the state here. So state and the use effect. So I'm going to bring it here. In the state, we don't need it anymore. Now let's do use state, import from React, use effect, import from React. If image post, this now does not depend, we don't download based on the post, we download based on when path changes and when bucket changes. So if there is a path and there is a bucket, then we download the image. So let's import download image from utils. We download based on path. We give here Supabase, which we can take using const Supabase equal use Supabase. And then we do set image. And then we return this one here. The image should be imported from React Native. So at the top, let's do import image from React Native. Now, this is not done yet, but it should already work because I can import the Supabase image in the post list item. Import Supabase image from Supabase image. And where we try to render this here, where is it? This one should show image. I'm going to render a Supabase image. And instead of sending a source, I'm going to send the path, which will come from post.image. I'm not going to send a source because it's this component who is going to handle the source. I'm going to leave styles here for a bit. If I come back, let's see what's going on. If I reload, we see something. Maybe not exactly what we wanted, but what's going on? Reload. Well, yeah, we didn't send the bucket, even though we're not using, we're kind of expecting it. So, oh, come on. Close it. How to close it? And that's why it's not downloading the image, because it's not sending the bucket. So let's go ahead and send the bucket is going to be images. Now, if we come back, it's loading. And the cool thing is that now we can look at this Supabase image separately, and we can go ahead and say, hey, in this component, adding a loading state for every image would not make sense. Like it would be a mess. Here, we can do here is loading. Set is loading. Use state is loading true. And what we're going to do, like after we set the image, let's do here result. Result. Let's do set image with result, and then set loading with false. And then, yeah, like if there is an error as well, like if catch, Let me go ahead and do it like properly. Const handle download equal a sync function. I don't like the dot then. And then we can do const result equal await download image path and Supabase. And then what we can do is set image with a result. We can do set is loading to false. And I'm going to call this handle download instead of this one here. If path and bucket, and else if path and bucket is not there, I'm going to set is loading to false. And in that case, it would make sense to set is loading to true at the beginning, because this use effect can be called multiple times if either path or bucket changes dynamically through the props. And we're going to set it to true, then handle it, and either set it right away to false or handle and set it when we get the result. And using this is loading, we can say, hey, if is loading, show a view with an activity indicator in the center, activity indicator, and this view should be imported from React Native, and it should have a style. Maybe you can add a background color, Gainsborough, and align items center and justify content center. Am I perfectionist now? And the same width and aspect ratio and border radius as the image itself. And this is going to add a loading indicator for the image itself. Now it downloaded it too fast, but we should see it is loading. Set is loading true. Oh, if is loading, I didn't see this one. I don't know why. Console log is loading. Oh, forgot to return it. Rookie mistake. Now we're gonna see that skeleton for our images, which allowed us to do it just because we have like a separate component for it. And as you can see, it's loading and then it shows. Okay, perfect. One thing I wanted to do more. Okay, yeah. Whenever you are doing this kind of extending a usual component, I'm explaining this super in depth in React Native Mastery, how to extend components. Here, our Supabase image is basically an extension of the image that adds a little bit of functionality. And the problem is that we wanted Supabase image to be super reusable, but we are hard coding some styles that would only work in this context on the home screen. What I want actually to do is to say that, hey, all use the style and everything else from the parameters that you receive here. And to do that, there are a couple of steps. First, we take the rest or image props like this with this syntax, saying that, hey, take the path and bucket and everything else, keep it in one huge object called image props. Now we take these image props and say, go ahead and destructure them here. Image props. And as you can see, it's still working, but now we can adjust these styles from the parent from when we are using it. So if I do here 80, it's going to change. So this is what making this image reusable, because we are only providing the source. So here providing source is not going to change anything, but providing anything else that the image can receive is going to be sent down to the image component. And I can do the same here, for example, not to assume with an aspect ratio like this, I can say, hey, I need this kind of styles here because I want the activity indicator to be in the center, but I would also appreciate the styles of the image props dot style if you have any, and image props dot style, yeah. So now also the loading indicator is going to take styles from the parent from previous. Perfect. The only thing that's left is to fix the TypeScript issues because it doesn't know that Supabase image can receive a style, because we said that the type of a Supabase image prop is just these two properties. What we can do is say it's these two custom ones, and everything with and we can create a union type, and everything from the image props. So I think it's component props, and inside here we provide the component that we want to extend. So it's the image, or if I'm not mistaken, it's type of image. Now if we look at the Supabase image, we know that to this Supabase image we can give anything that we could give to an image, such as style, such as resize mode, and everything is going to be passed down to the actual image component here. And yeah, it knows that image props is coming from image, and it knows that it also have a style and stuff like that. So now this Supabase image is super reusable. You can reuse it for avatars, for groups, for users, for full screen images, and so on. Because using it is super simple. You just give a path to the Supabase storage, you give a bucket name, and then you style it as a normal image. And behind the scenes, like, it's this component that does the heavy lifting of downloading it, of handling the loading indicator. Maybe you can even have the error state, and if it fails to load, you show a small text, fail to load image. That's also possible to do there, and you do it once and you benefit of it in any place in your application. So that is everything that I wanted to do with images. So let me do git status, git add, git commit -m image Supabase images, and that's it, right? Perfect.
Yeah, very nice, very
Yeah,
nice
boy.
work. Like again, few more questions.
Yep.
One is, have you ever hosted Supabase yourself?
I haven't, but I'm running it often locally. So hosting it yourself would be quite similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, Supabase self-host, I'm pretty sure they have documentation for that. You can use Docker, which is the easiest one. And similar to how we do it locally, you would use Docker to run it in production.
Yep.
So there is also Kubernetes and so on. You can do it on AWS. You can do it on DigitalOcean. With
Yep.
Docker, yeah.
So another one is, have you disabled Copilot?
I don't have I'm not using Copilot recently. I was using Cursor, and in these tutorials I'm trying not to use these AI tools because it gets in the way. In my day-to-day work, like, I use Cursor a lot, and it's actually helping.
Yep. That's all.
Perfect. And if I'm not mistaken, we wanted to show pagination, right?
We had a plan for that, yeah.
Supabase pagination. Limit the query to a range. Let me check something and predict how long it will be. Limit range 0 to 1. How is Reddit doing? Is it infinite scroll
That's a
or
good question.
is
I'm
it
not the.
pages? I
Let
believe
me
it's
double check. It's in a way infinite scroll, but like you reach the end. Like it loads on end reached
mm-hmm.
more.
Yeah, but it's infinite scroll.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From two. Okay. Okie dokie. So yeah, let's try. Um, we're gonna do it, but I will not stop to explain every single line of code because implementing pagination, especially on the nested query, is quite a lot. I explain it super in depth in React Native Mastery. So if you're interested, make sure to join notjust.dev/React Native Mastery. And the last module that is upcoming in the next couple of weeks is a deep dive into a lot of topics, but one of them is nested query, and there we cover pagination in details. Today, let's see how we can do it because we are kind of short on time. So let me see git status. Pagination would mean that on the homepage, we have a lot of posts. If you deploy the application to production, most probably you're going to have even more posts. Hopefully you're going to have it. So when you open the application, you cannot load all of them. What you have to do is load, like, I don't know, first 10 posts, and as the user scrolls, you load more. How is that going to happen? Well, first of all, pagination is a work on both front-end and back-end. So for the backend, in the services, in the post service, when we fetch posts, we can have here a dot range 0 to 3, meaning that give me the post from 0 to 3, and if I reload, let's see what's going to happen. We have post 0 to 3, which is actually 4 posts. Maybe I will do 0 to 1, 0 and 1. Is that going to be 2 posts? Yes. With image and without. Then if I do 2 to 3, that's going to be the next set of posts. The next page, basically. And this way, by sending this range, where to start and until what post, we can implement pagination on the backend. I mean, how we fetch data from Supabase. So that means that we need a couple of parameters here, and they will be limit and offset. That's usually how it works. Limit means how many posts do you want to fetch, for example, 3 or 5 posts, and offset, how many should we skip. And we're going to send it to the range. Let me see if they also have dot limit, because with limit and offset is a bit more clear. And then dot offset. No, it doesn't have offset. So let me double read the Supabase range just to make sure. Limit the query result by starting to an offset from and ending to the offset to. Limit the query result by starting at an offset from, this is the first one, and ending to the offset to. All the records within this range are returned. This respects the query order, and there is no order. Okay. The starting index, the last index. In my case, I'm actually usually it's a bit different. Like limit is how many posts we want to query, and this is usually standard. Like if it's 10, it's always going to be 10. And offset, how many we want to skip. Offset, how many we want to skip, will go into the first one here, so offset. And limit is going to be offset plus limit. So we want to start at the offset and then go to offset plus limit. If we want 10 posts, it's going to be maybe 10 plus 10 for the next page, or 20 plus 10, and so on. Let's go ahead and say that these should be of type fetch, or let me do limit number and offset number. But we can also skip them, especially the offset. I can skip both of them and I will use some defaults. For example, for offset, I'm going to use the default 0. For limit, I'm going to use a default 10, for example. So loading 10 posts. If I reload, it didn't work. So offset 0 until 10. It didn't want. Why? Error. Cannot read property from of undefined from. But I'm overriding them. Console log offset. It's 0, so it from of undefined. Am I crazy? Offset and offset plus limit. So 0 and 10, 0 and 10. And it's failing. And if I do here manually 0 and 10, what? Still doesn't work? What did I do? Because it was working. 0 and 2. What happened? Oh, I know what happened. We are added a new parameter here, and Supabase moved to the second parameter. So in the fetch post, we need to go into the application. Yeah, I can go back to how it was because it's going to work with offset and offset plus limit. I just want to change, I have to change the fetch post inside the application protected tabs index where we fetch the post here, because Supabase is already the second parameter and the first one is going to be our options. I'm going to leave them empty, and this is going to use default first page with 10 posts. Maybe I can do limit 3 just for us to see better. And we see 3 posts here, or actually 4. And let's go ahead and start implementing a paginated query. With TanStack, this is, how to say it? It's not easy, but it's structured, and pagination is no easy topic. So especially the one that we want to implement. The one we want to implement is called the infinite scrolling pagination, where we scroll, and as we scroll, we load more items. We don't have to move from page to page, but we load more items in the same list. So in that case, a use query is going to be replaced to a use infinite query, a special type of query that handles this infinite pagination. Let's replace it, and we're going to see that it already expects a little bit more items. One of the items that it expects is the initial page parameters. What is going to be the initial parameters for our page? And they will be limit 3 and offset 0, or maybe we can even, yeah, like let's be specific to see it better. So this is going to be initial page parameters. We also have to implement here the get next page parameters, which is a function that should calculate these parameters, limit and offset, based on the, how is it called, the last page, right? Based on, if I'm not mistaken, it's last page, and here it's all pages. So let me just return here a dummy limit free, offset free. That's it. Now the use infinite query says that everything is okay. But if I reload, we do not see the items. Well, that's because if I look into the posts somewhere here, console log posts, or maybe a JSON stringify posts null and 2, we're gonna see that now it's a little bit different than before. The post is an object, it has pages, which is an array. It's an array of arrays. So that base, as you can see here at the top, it's an array of arrays, where pages is an array of different pages, and every page is an array of items in that page. What we can do is simply put them in one big array by saying posts are equal. I'm going to rename this back to data. So post is going to be equal to data.pages, and I'm going to do a flat map. Not a flat map, but a flat. Or it's going to be empty array. So by doing pages.flat, like we take an array of arrays and put all the items into one single big array. That's what will power our long list of items, destructuring everything from these pages. Perfect. What I'm going to do now is in the list footer component, let's render a button from React Native that will say title load more. On press, like load more. Let's just do it like this. So if I go at the bottom, we see load more. If I press, I want to load the next page. To load the next page, we have to call a function that we're gonna get by from the use infinite query. That function is called fetch next page. Very straightforward, like it makes sense. When we press on load more, let's do on press fetch next page. Let's actually call it like this. So let's move to a limit of 2 in order to have just 2 posts. I mean, it's going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. If I go ahead and do load more, it's going to load the next batch, probably. But yeah, it loads the same page. As you can see, this is the first post, this is the first post. That's because when we call fetch posts, we're always sending here limit 3. In order to send the page parameters in the query function, we're going to receive these page params here, and we can send them either here, yeah, like let's do it like this, page param. So now, initially, it's going to be this object that gets here, and later it's going to be this one. If I do reload, we're going to see that now it should load 3 posts, 1, 2, 3. And if I do load more, it should be the 4th, and so on. Does it work? And now it's still this one. That's because, again, in the get next page parameters, we are hard coding. We are not looking at the last page and the all pages. I'll just double check if indeed this is last page and all pages. In the stack query, use infinite query, get next page parameters last page and all pages. We can also get last page params. Last page. Last page. So, or all pages. I think the easiest one to know the next page params is to get the last page params. And what I'm going to do is say that the limit is last page params dot. No, limit is always the same. Offset is the one that moves. So offset is going to be last page params dot limit plus last page params dot offset. Or a better way actually would be all pages dot all pages dot flat dot length. The length of all the existing posts in our table. I think that's how it should be. So I think with maybe one post, maybe two is going to. When I say limit 2, I actually expect only 2 posts to see. But the way Supabase is implemented, we see 3. So I'm going to go into the fetch post and say should it be limit -1 here to be exclusive? Or maybe we can give some. Yeah, that's good. Because Supabase is inclusive, including the limit, but I want to exclude it. So now if I reload, saying limit 2 means I want 2 posts, and I actually get the first 2 posts. If I do load more, I'll have a next 2 posts. If I do load more, I'm going to have a next 2 posts, and so on until we reach the end. I want to just double check if I'm not skipping any post. So the third one is this with flowers. If initial page I say give me the first 10 and reload the application, I'll just double check if indeed the third one is that with flowers. Yes, it's that with flowers. That means that our pagination is working properly. And I don't need this one here, and I don't need this one here, but it should be here because I need the second one. So we can simply replace it with an underscore to say like, I don't need it, but it should be there because I want to access the second one. Perfect. So that's how we are doing it. However, usually we do not have a button. Usually we have automated load more. To do that, what we have to do is say on the flat list, on end reached is a function that the flat list will call when we are scrolling and approaching the end. And when that happens, I'm going to do fetch next page. I need to be a bit safe not to call it too often, and I'm going to call fetch next page only if it's not already fetching next page, which is a variable that again infinite query gives us. Fetching next page. I'll say, hey, if is not fetching next page, then call fetch next page. And we're going to see, just look at the scroll indicator here. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it properly, but as I will reach the end, and it's going to be right at the end here, it's going to load the next set of posts. And here, instead of this button, what I can do is I can show an activity indicator, but only if is fetching next page. Activity indicator. Otherwise, let's do question mark, and otherwise just return null. Now you're going to see that as I reach the end, it's going to have that activity indicator and it's going to load more posts. What application also do is they load posts ahead of time. Like they don't wait until the user actually reaches the end. They actually load a couple of steps ahead. To do that, we can adjust on the flat list when the flat list will consider that it reached the end by sending here and on end reach threshold. And this is, if you say 2, that is going to load 2 more visible screens below. So as you can see on the scroll indicator, as I scroll, it loads a lot of items below to have enough items for us to scroll 2 screens. So this way, like, you rarely reach the end. And we see there is a problem when we reach actually the end, like a lot of things are happening there. And there is another property here, has next page. And has next page will be false if in the get next page parameters we're gonna return 0. And how we can, if we're gonna return undefined, we can do that by checking the last page actually, so we need it. So if last page dot length, is it length? Maybe, is equal to 0, then return undefined, meaning that there is no next page there. We reach the end. If last page was 0, we reach the end. And if we return undefined, this has next page is going to be false. So we can say, hey, call fetch next page only if you're not fetching, and if you have a next page. So now if I will scroll until the end, we should not see that problem of even starting to load because it knows that it doesn't have next page and it's not even calling it. And that, guys, how you can implement this fetch next page. And while I'm here, I will remove this view to leave only the flat list. Makes it a little bit cleaner. And yes, when you look at this use infinite query, it's a lot of data. We send a lot of stuff. This tail time is optional. So these are important parts: the query key, as it was before, the query function, the initial page parameters, the get next page parameters, and back we get a lot of data. But this is the benefit because we just get this data. We don't have to manage it. And a lot of things kind of click, like it's easy to remember, especially the names. Fetch next page to get the next page. Is fetching next page is going to be true or false when this is happening. Has next page and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and it makes sense. Go more times through the code. And yeah, just know that these initial page parameters, how we implement it here, it's totally up to us. It's me that I decided that I need limit and offset. It's not like the Tanstack query that decided that. It's anything that you return here and here is going to be passed to the query function in the page params, and we can use it to decide how we fetch. So if you need like another page parameters, like the number of page, or sometimes we implement cursor-based pagination, and that's what I implemented in the course, where we do not say how many items to skip, we give a cursor saying that fetch items after this one, and that one is actually better pagination. But I'm not going to go into that. That one is, if you're interested, check out the React Native Mastery. This is a very solid pagination system, and I'm very happy that we covered it as well. Lucas, what do you think about it?
Amazing. Very nice.
So yeah, super happy that we managed this one as well. Pagination. Whew.
A long one.
Is it confusing or it makes sense?
No, this one was like pretty clear. I
think
listening.
it takes a couple of time to implement it, to remember, but always go check the documentation.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So we are for 5 hours, more than 5 hours,
Yep.
live today. I think we achieved so much with this project. Uh,
Indeed.
yeah, and there are so like you can use this project as the starting point for so many applications,
Oh yeah, definitely.
social medias,
100%.
forums, anything that you can imagine.
Yep.
What a content storm this week. Yes, we have a lot of things going on here.
And it's not the end also.
Yep. All right, so you're gonna have access to all the source code following the link in the description. Is there anything else that we wanted to share? If
Not
you
sure.
reach, if you reached here until the end, uh, the thing is that because we had like these troubles with stopping the live stream, we are going to post this as one huge video. All the parts we're gonna stick together. We have 3 big parts, but in fact we have 5 live streams because we were interrupted a lot. So we're going to edit and make it like as a one huge tutorial, which you're gonna find it on the channel.
Yep.
So yeah, that's something that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, yeah. That's, I think, very important. We'll cut out all the unnecessary parts or all the stops, and it's gonna be a full-fledged
Yeah,
video.
perfect. All right, so that was the Reddit clone, right?
Yeah, actually, it evolved to a lot bigger than it supposed to be at the start, like than it was supposed to be. But I think it's good. Like we showcased a lot. I think it's amazing, and I see people are commenting very nice things. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, guys. There's people are still here watching. It's crazy. I think both. I can tell for both of us, we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I would like to say big thank you to you, Lucas, because you invested so much time into preparing this project. All the Notion guide that you see, like it's done by Lucas. Everything from the UI is done by Lucas. So it was probably 1 full month of work, and uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Lucas even shared that this was one of the hardest months for him. So show him some appreciation and say thank you, Lucas. I personally appreciate it a lot. So
Thank you. Thank you very much.
that's a
Very nice
very
words.
that's a very good way to come back
Yeah,
and show like how things are done here at notjust.dev. Thank you.
exactly.
All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. If you enjoy this one, as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of tutorials coming later this month and the next one. Now that Lucas is here with us, we're gonna have probably a lot more tutorials, and we're gonna have also a lot more time to prepare and give you like everything to make sure that you are going to become a full stack mobile developer faster and with a lot more fun by building
Exactly.
real projects. So yeah, let us know also in the comments what other projects you'd like us to see build. We are always open to ideas, and there is also an idea board in the description where you can submit some ideas there as well.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Lucas, and
Thank you.
I'll see everyone actually pretty soon. So bye
Very
bye.